Hold on now, I tell you something that you've gotta understand before we even get out of the driveway on this one. You think politics is some dry, boring scrapbook. Nah man, it's more like your crazy uncle at Thanksgiving who says one thing and does another while eating half the turkey and blaming your cousin for the mess in the living room. Now look at me closely. Because if you've been feeling like someone just rearranged the world order in the middle of the night, when you were asleep, you're not crazy, you're California crazy. Because what's unfolding between the United States and India right now isn't just a tiff between two governments, it's a full-on geopolitical rodeo with tariffs, visas, and alliances flying like horseshoes on Derby Day. Steve adjusts his suit jacket, stares silently at the camera like, can you believe this mess? Then breaks into a grin, all right, here's what's really cooking in 2025, the U.S. Slapped Indian exports with up to 50% tariffs, yes. Half the value wiped out in one swoop, and guess what triggered it? America said India kept buying Russian oil, and that's like borrowing your neighbor's lawnmower and their expensive chainsaw without returning either. That's how Washington sees it. Reuters +1, and right behind that slap came a bombshell fee $100,000 to apply for a new H-1B visa. Listen to me, that's not a fee, that's a full tuition for your kid's college education just to work in the U.S. If you're a techie. That's got Indian workers and companies shaking their heads all the way from Hyderabad to Silicon Valley. Hindustan Times now, hold on now. Don't think this is some random grudge. This is strategic. This is like your big brother telling you you can't borrow the car because you didn't clean the garage, but then he's the one living in your spare room. It's complicated. It's not only tariffs and visa bills bumping heads, it's a growing tension around global influence. Who's got India's ear? And who's got India's oil tankers? Some in Washington think New Delhi's pivot toward Russia and heck, warming up the welcome mat for China business people with faster visas is like your friend sneaking off to party with the kid you warned him not to trust. India Today. Steve leans in, eyebrows raised, quiet pause. Then he chuckles, but unlike your neighbor's barbecue, this one's got consequences. Millions of Indian small businesses and exporters, textiles, gems and jewelry, carpets, furniture, leather, seafood, they're staring at sky. High import costs and losing ground fast in America's biggest markets. That's millions of workers potentially furloughed or forced to look for markets elsewhere. The Times of India, and here's the zinger, it's not just India feeling the heat. American companies that rely on Indian components or talent now face shortages and higher costs because of those visas and tariffs. Remember all those big tech firms in the U.S. that said they need H-1B talent. Yeah, now they're crying, wait a minute. Like a kid who asked for ice cream and then called it too sweet. Hindustan Times. Steve taps the desk with that signature Steve Harvey look like am I the only one seeing this? We got Congress members on both sides trying to reverse these tariffs because they say it's hurting American consumers and workers too, that it's a lose game if it goes on. www.ndtv. Calm so next time someone tells you this is all just politics. Look 'em in the eye and tell 'em politics is just the air traffic control between economic engines that power billions of lives. But we are not done yet. Baby, I ain't even close to finished with part 1. Stay tuned, because when we come back in part 2, we're gonna break down why this all exploded, what's really behind the scenes with China, Russia, oil, trade deals, and what it means for your paycheck and the global order. And you better believe I'm gonna tell it to you straight, no cap. Come on back in here, sit down, don't cross your legs yet, because this is where folks get confused, emotional, and start yelling on the internet without knowing why the house is on fire. Look at me, Steve pauses, slow blink. That Lord help me, stare, let me explain the why, because grown folks ask why. Kids just cry, here's the truth, this ain't about hurt feelings, this is about leverage. Power and who gets to make the rules when the money, oil, chips, food, and technology start moving funny. America's message to India in 2025 has been real simple. Even if it sounds loud, partner with us, or pay for going your own way. Now India said, hold on now, partner. Because India is sitting in a real tough seat, you got one. 4 billion people to feed, fuel, and keep working. When oil prices went crazy because of wars and sanctions, Russia said, hey India, I got oil cheap. Now you tell me if your cousin shows up to the family reunion with free ribs when everybody else selling plates for $1.25. What you gon' do? You gonna eat. India bought that oil, a lot of it. And that right there is where Washington said, Steve straightens his tie, see. America's strategy since the Ukraine war has been to economically isolate Russia. That only works if big economies play along. When India keeps buying Russian crude, refining it, and selling products globally, it weakens the pressure campaign. That's not opinion, that's math. So the U.S. pulled out the tariff hammer. 50% tariffs ain't a warning shot, that's a foreclosure notice. It means Indian goods instantly become less competitive than stuff from Vietnam, Mexico, or Indonesia. It's America saying, you wanna do business your way. It just got real expensive. Now let's talk about that $100 zero H-1B visa fee, because this is where people spit out their coffee. That fee isn't about immigration numbers, it's about reshoring talent. America wants companies to stop depending on foreign labor pipelines and start training domestic workers, or at least that's the argument. But India hears something else entirely. You don't want our people, just our market. And when you tell a proud country that, don't be surprised when they start shopping elsewhere. Steve tilts his head, squints enter, China and Russia. Now don't get it twisted, India and China ain't best friends. They're more like neighbors who smile in public but argue about the fence line every year. But economics has a way of making enemies sit at the same table. India started fast, cracking Chinese business visas. Energy deals with Russia got deeper. Trade talks with the BRICS bloc got louder. Payments in local currencies instead of dollars. Oh yeah, that conversation is happening right now. That's the Chinese checkers move people are talking about. India ain't flipping the board, it's repositioning pieces. Quietly, strategically. Now here's the part most folks miss. America also needs India. India is the counterweight to China in Asia. India buys U.S. defense equipment. India anchors Indo-Pacific strategy. You don't just toss that relationship in the trash like yesterday's takeout. So why push so hard? Because this is a pressure moment, not a breakup. America is betting India will blink before alliances harden permanently. India is betting America will soften before supply chains fully reroute. Steve leans back, hands clasped, and then boom, you got Trump stepping in on the India-Pakistan ceasefire, reminding everybody, I'm still in this picture. That move wasn't about peace alone, that was signaling influence. Saying, you may disagree with me, but when things get hot in South Asia, you still pick up the phone. So now you got tariffs on the table, visas under fire, oil politics in the background, China lurking, Russia supplying, and two democracies testing who needs who more. This ain't chaos. This is negotiation at max volume. And listen to me carefully when grown nations argue like this. The goal ain't noise. The goal is concessions. Steve pauses. Slow nod, and that brings us to the part everybody really wants to know. What happens next? Because this chessboard, it's about to get real crowded. Stick with me because in part 3, I'm going to tell you what this means for your job, your money, global stability, and why the next 6 months could reshape how the world does business for the next 20 years. All right now, come on in close. This is the part where Steve Harvey stops joking, lowers his voice, and talks to you like your uncle, who actually reads the fine print. Steve smooths his suit, steps forward, long pause. That stare that says this is important. So what happens next? First thing, this trade war don't end with a bang. It ends with adjustments, slow ones, painful ones, quiet ones. The kind that don't trend on social media but hit your wallet like a surprise bill you forgot was on autopay. If these tariffs stay where they are, India doesn't collapse. Don't let nobody scare you with that. What happens instead is redirection. Indian exporters start shipping more to Africa, the Middle East, Southeast Asia. U.S. companies start sourcing from Vietnam and Mexico. Costs go up. Margins shrink. Consumers pay more and don't even know why. That $19 shirt, now it's $29. That software delay, talent pipeline slowed. That startup dream, visa math don't math no more. That's how geopolitics shows up in regular folks' lives quietly, consistently, and inconveniently. Now for India, this moment is bigger than tariffs. This is Prime Minister Modi sending his first real signal after the pressure hit. We will not be rushed. We will not be boxed in, and we will keep our options open. That doesn't mean India is dumping America. It means India is saying, respect is part of partnership. Steve nods slowly for the U.S. The next move is crucial. Push too hard and you accelerate the very thing Washington fears: tighter India, China, Russia coordination, more trade outside the dollar, more global systems that don't ask America for permission. Back off too fast. You look weak and leverage disappears. This is a tightrope walk in dress shoes. Now let me talk to you, not the politicians, not the analysts, you. If you're a student, a worker, a business owner, a parent planning a future, understand this. The world is entering a phase where alliances are conditional, supply chains are political, and skills matter more than passports. The old days of America decides, everyone follows are changing. The new days are about who can adapt fastest without breaking. And here's the Steve Harvey truth nobody likes to hear. This ain't about good guys and bad guys. This is about interests, and interests don't have feelings. Steve smiles softly, but listen, that don't mean the future is dark. It means it's open. Moments like this create pressure, and pressure creates opportunity. New markets, new skills, new partnerships. The countries and people who stay informed instead of emotional, they win. So don't panic. Don't pick sides like it's a sports team, and don't let headlines scare you into ignorance. Pay attention, learn, prepare, because the world ain't ending, it's rearranging the furniture. Steve gives one last look into the camera, half smile, half warning, and if you understand where the couch is moving, you won't trip when the lights go out. Now if this helped you see the bigger picture, you already know what to do, like, subscribe, and stay sharp.